Well, and what if, is it a good way to start by first asking questions? And then what I want to do is show you some more of the I'm going to do two things. After we do the question session, we're going to take the plan we just built for Rachel. We're going to build one for one of your students. When you think of a student actually and just help you navigate that, I'm also going to give you a behind the scenes on what's coming. So like everything you would have at your fingertips in the fall semester, some of which I'm just extremely excited about. What if we start with questions? Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
You can, yeah, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Is people put in the chat area?
Put them in, yeah, throw them in the chat. Or what if we just maybe like seeing, I'll wait and like just a minute here and see if we dive any in. And then what I'm going to ask is that we're going to start by building a plan. I'm going to do a screen share on my phone again. I'd like you to build it for a student of yours, and then we'll spend the second half walking through what's coming. Does that sound like a good use of time? And I'm tapping, I keep tapping admit here in the right. That's when my head is turning on a swivel here to get everyone in. So let's do that. I don't want to spend a ton of time. I want you to, because the part of the beauty of what we've done is to be able to help kind of quickly. Jasmine, I do actually appreciate that question. Not in the next 50 years. So I think, but it potentially, at some point, decade after decade, it is a more interesting question. I'll throw the web-based URL in, and let's learn from each other here. Control C, Control V. There is the web-based URL for anyone not download. Remember the download, it is a better design experience. Questions that I'll share too, as I kind of think about what we just did to make sure. I had ended the keynote by saying the concept of we had been trying to build an investment app. I want to just be clear on what and why we were doing there. The hope that I have seen from your students, in independent of like the geography, the GPAs, the careers, the wealth, these kids have this enthusiasm that is in their eyes, and paired with a great many students, particularly this is at the collegiate level and high school, who would try to open a Roth IRA, because you don't need a ton of money. You can get it started with a very small dollar amount as we get, and it's the number one question I receive from students. How do I get started? How do I open a Roth IRA? So you can learn from that. This is actually a great assignment. We do this at Pitt. We put a phone on speakerphone. We put it in the middle of the classroom. One brave student calls Vanguard, Fidelity, or Charles Schwab and reads questions off of the whiteboard. For instance, I'm 17 years old and I don't know what a Roth IRA is, but I think I want to have one. And then Vanguard or Fidelity picks up the phone and says, "Oh, thanks, I'm happy to help you." It is an incredible confidence building experience. The reason that we had been building the investment app was to help students get over this fear hurdle. It is they ask you some very personal questions because of FINRA's get to know your investor. Unfortunately, they're questions that apply to all of us, but they don't apply to 18-year-old us. So my students come back saying, "Gene, like it's a little bit weird. Like I was doing this and they were asking me questions that I didn't understand. I just want to open a Roth IRA and, buy the S&P 500. So that's a part of the learning curve here. I would say almost 50% of students who reach out to me enthusiastically to go do come back with a follow-up question saying, "I got nervous." So that's just two steps kind of based on some observations there. Can we take 5 minutes and build a financial plan for your favorite 18-year-old high school senior using the Troutwood app? But I'm going to ask that you do 3 things. Buy a pet, a vacation. So those are under add-ons. Have a little bit of fun. Name the pet, name the vacation. As you're doing this, I want you to think of the student, because I know we all have students like this. Not the one who doesn't need this class, right? We've got the superstars. That one's going to run with this. Maybe that quiet kid who you've been trying to reach all semester and you know they're paying attention, but just having a little bit of a hard time like cracking them for this. Think of that student as we build this plan. And I'll share an example. We did this with the state of West Virginia, and one of their teachers from Huntington, West Virginia, built a plan for a student of his that was going to work in the fast food industry. And he got emotional, he being the teacher, because he built a plan for this student to be a millionaire, and he could not wait to get back in the classroom and show this student what was possible. So I'd like you to think on that piece. I'm going to bring up my phone here too. Carmen, yes, you can, is the answer to the question on Roth IRA. There's one caveat, Carmen. It depends on the age of them, and do they have a job yet? Jensen, I would say yes. Keep the years to 42. I think it's important that your students understand they're being told by influencers if you can get rich quick, or if you're not making this much money, you're failing. That's not true at all. I live in averages, and those influencers don't speak in averages. They speak in extreme tales because that's how you get the clicks. So, oh, Carmen, absolutely. Then yes, like I'll share a story as you're building. This is purely coincidence that this happened. And it happened in the last 3 weeks. Two friends, both of whom are 37. One, he and his wife messaged me saying, do you have some time to talk at lunch? I said, sure. And they said, Gene, we're broke. And we just had our second kid. I said, hey, don't worry. Let's talk about it. 37 years old, broke, just had their second kid. They've made a ton of money. I know their career. Second friend, 37 years old. He's a teacher in our local district, making $60,000. Has $260,000 in his Roth IRA because he started at the age of 16 and did $3,000 a year. He put it on autopilot. He did the Vanguard. He hit the red button, put it on autopilot, and has done it every year of his life. I don't even think he logged onto it in those 20 years gap between when he started it. So to that question on a Roth IRA and a young person, that's why I anchor on this as such an important action step. It's not to discount the budgeting, the compound interest, the other pieces. It's just that it's life-changing. I'll show what that means. Patty, this is the real life. So let's use the Troutwood app here. Finulator, I'll save for the classroom for you, but Finulator, it's the same. Both only use real data, so they will let your students make informed decisions. What I would like then is at the 5-minute mark, I'm going to ask one of you to share the plan that you built. So I'll need a brave volunteer. And then I will tell you, and this is really fun to do in the classroom, have one of your students stand up and share what they did. That's that positive peer-to-peer pressure. And I'm going to raise the bar. I'm going to wait until I see the plan or two that's presented, and then I'm going to raise the bar on all of you. And I'm going to join from my phone here. Whoever wants to be our brave volunteer, just throw it in the chat or raise your hand. Teachers can't be shy, right? For everyone just joining, we're building a plan for one of our students using the Troutwood app, but we're building it for that student, that quiet student who we know is reachable, but just haven't reached at this point of the semester. Lisa, vacation. I will on my friend. Anything you want, Myra. This is This is that student. So I gave the example of the teacher in Huntington, West Virginia, who built it for one of his students who was going into the fast food industry. You build it for that student that you're thinking of, and a vacation. So warehouse worker. So these are BLS definitions. That's how the 900 plus careers are listed. So as you search for them, we did not modify the BLS language in any way to help keep them authentic. Industrial, potentially. I'll answer the question on my friend's scenario. He started a Roth IRA and he was doing $100 a month. So he and his wife were able to come up with $100 a month to get started. And they were doing that. But they did open the Roth IRA and they did get started at the age of 37. I'll do a quick screen share though on what that means. Because these are great examples for your students. And then we'll ask for a volunteer to share. This is the difference between those two friends. So this is the friend who is 37. This is a stock market calculator that assumes a retirement age of 70. He and his wife are doing $100 a month in their Roth IRA now. They've gotten started. That's a good thing. The other friend who's 37 and it was actually 254,000. So I rounded a little bit. Look what he's done, even if he saves zero the rest of his life. They're unbelievable numbers. I will warn you, that's another part of this conversation. Age is such an opportunity. The numbers your students will see are unbelievable. They're so big. This is also another really good thing to do is you take like a 16-year-old in class who hasn't started and just show them, hey, that's okay. Save $1 a day. And then as soon as they see this, they'll say, what happens if I save $2 a day? And then you've started to form that conversation with them. This is the same thing. This is just stock market history. Patty, it does depend on the investment. So that's a really excellent question. My students, and this is something I get a lot at Pitt, they'll have a parent will say, should I buy CDs? Or should I buy bonds? And the reality is, until you are far closer to retirement, you should only be buying the stock market, in my opinion. Warren Buffett writes this in his annual newsletter every year, that I wish I could figure out a way to have every 16-year-old buy the S&P 500 every year of their life. I just haven't figured it out yet. And how many 16-year-olds are reading Warren Buffett's 140-page annual newsletter? Not many. Carmen, there is hope. There's obviously, you can increase your contributions once you turn 50 in both your Roth IRA, your 403, your 401k. If you have a pension, you have that for life, and you will have full Social Security for life. In that situation, the most important decision you will have to make, or that individual would have to make, is when to begin collecting Social Security. Each year that you delay, it increases the amount that you will receive in retirement. Patsy, that's a great thing too.
I have a question about Social Security in Nevada. We're one of the states that falls under the Windfall Protection Act. And so if you've paid into Social Security, but you also get a pension, you can't, I haven't looked into how much, but it takes away a part of it. Do you know anything about that, or how we can offset that?
Leslie, are you able to answer that then? I see that your comment there. I'm not fully familiar with Nevada's state law requirements. And I see Lisa threw an answer in there also. Does anyone want to take the mic and take that question? To make sure I fully understand, does that mean you don't get Social Security, or you get a reduced part of Social Security?
I'm not an expert, but I think we get a reduced amount. They take a percentage of our Social Security away, even if we paid the maximum from other professions.
They take a percentage of both of them. And if you're not careful, they will take too much.
Okay. Could that be something that, so we did an event here in Pennsylvania to help teachers understand their pension. 250 signed up and there were only 30 seats. I was really disappointed that they didn't open it for all 250. I think I have a personal opinion, having worked with a lot of the teachers' retirement systems, that the trustees don't communicate down to the teachers like what you actually have. Maybe that's not the case in Nevada, but it sounds like that would be a really good session, understanding like the pension and then understanding this social security, these pieces, because they're really core.
The problem with Nevada is that we fall under the Windfall Act. There's 15 to 17 states that if you collect a public pension, you cannot you're offset with Social Security. However, if you started before a certain year and you had your years in, you could collect the full thing. If you work 30 years, you get the full amount. But it's different for everybody's age and when they started. The best thing to do is to contact your US senators and ask them to repeal the Windfall Act. I've been doing it for probably 30 years. My example is I cannot get Medicare. Now, you think that Medicare is a given for everybody in the US. It is not. Because the Windfall Act in the year I started, I don't even qualify. So I have saved enough money in 403s and 457s so that I can pay, I have to pay cash for private insurance. You could buy Medicare, but you buy it at the private price.
This sounds like a great. I'll raise the stakes on the question. Kathy, are you able to make Jean iPhone a co-host, please? I'm not able to do it. I was trying to get a screen share. I think that who better to lead these conversations in your respective districts than all of you also. I've learned giving presentations like this across the country, teachers have a great deal of questions, and it seems that there aren't many places to go within the individual school districts for them. That's me generalizing, so I don't want to say that is the way it is for you potentially. What about your 22 or 25-year-old new hires around you? Do they know how to get into the 403? Are there someone saying, hey, you've got to do this? Or is it just like, is it the same as it is for a company where you check the opt-in box because you see it?
They have companies that come around to the schools. But what I've noticed from other people, I was lucky that my father taught me pretty well. He taught us to save 10% of whatever we made from the time we were kids. If we babysat, whatever, 10% had to go into the bank. He said, you always pay yourself first. But these companies come around and people don't even know if they're variable or fixed or how much they're paying them to maintain their accounts. And someone at work had told me it's free. It's not. I mean, the companies are in business to make money. They think that if they're putting $1,000 there, it's their $1,000. They don't understand the company's using it and they're taking out some to maintain the account. But people don't ever ask. I see what people I work with don't ever ask what they're paying. They just give them the money and sign it over while I did a 403. And they don't, all the questions that you're saying, I don't need this session today. The reason I came is because I wanted to learn more. I mean, I don't need the credit for my license or anything, but I think it's so important and they don't teach it. I went to school in New York in the 50s and 60s. I'm old, but they taught us to save. We had savings plans in school in the 60s where you brought a quarter to school, went to the bank. They taught us how to invest here. I mean, it's gone by the way. They don't even tell us. I mean, tell people. And people don't understand about the Windfall Act. And I don't understand how they don't. Everybody online here in Nevada should be contacting our 2 US senators and asking them to repeal it every single month. You can get onto the website, the National Repeal, the WEP. And contact them every month. Chicago, Illinois, Missouri, I think Louisiana, there's 15 states or 17, I can't remember now, but you need to get on there. And they think that they're entitled to their husbands or so, half of their Social Security. You don't get any of that if you collect a public pension. And it's all based on the year you started.
Mm-hmm.
And those companies that sit in the staff lounge with the 403Bs, they're also selling a lot of annuities and stuff, and they're not telling you really what your money is going into. So they're salespeople, kind of like what she said. They're not necessarily advising the teachers on what their money is going into. They're selling annuities, basically.
This is really interesting. I think I'd be happy to connect with Sheila off air. So and Jensen, I messaged you. Are you able to do a screen share if we do let you share your plan and we can navigate it together? I think it's a good one. If Kathy makes you co-host. And if you're uncomfortable doing it, say, no, if you, is it okay if you do it from your phone? Are you able to share from your phone? I'm talking to Jensen directly in messaging. If not, no. Okay. Yeah. I think that'd be really fun. She has a plan with a $12,000 deficit. I'd like to try to help navigate that because each of you will see that with your students. The reason I'm saying this is so when I'm hearing some of these first questions at the University of Pittsburgh, the number one question faculty are approaching their respective deans with right now is help to make money decisions. Independent of whether it's the business school, the law school, health services, it's becoming a big issue. And I think that personal finance educators and like the good work being done by each of you in your classroom, how do we carry it upwards? I know that's not the point of this session, but I think that who better than you all to think about a structure that does, and it's unfair. On one hand, it's unfair to say do more because you're already doing a ton, but teachers need this as badly as students, and we don't have that conversation. And I don't think the comment on the 403, it shouldn't be a salesperson in there trying to sell you annuities or something else. It should be someone who can answer your questions. So I don't know if that's a, Jensen, you have co-host now. Are you able to bring up your screen for all of us?
As far as I know, there isn't any part of our employer or state that is, mandated or required to help us make these kinds of decisions. And these ladies are right. They are just salespeople and they sell a lot of annuities. Unfortunately, I agree with Pamela about calling your senators, but we had Harry Reid, Speaker of the House, for many, many, many years, and he was always going to fix it, but he never did. So I'm not sure what we can do about that.
Yeah.
It's getting closer. I watch it daily. They're getting a lot of Congress people in line and a lot of people in the Senate. But the thing is that somebody, in 1983 decided, hey, we're going to do this. And to me, it's stealing. Because just like, in 1964, Lyndon Johnson decided to borrow against Social Security, that were IRAs for people. That should have never been touched. And they're giving people less than 1%. It's ridiculous. You could have invested your own money and did better. You don't have to pay into Social Security, although they tell you have to. It was set up in the 30s. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, you got to take care of yourself first, and you got to pay attention to interest rates, and people just buy stuff to buy it, to have it. And I see that as getting a lot of people in trouble, but you have to pay yourself first. It's just like what Jean has been saying all morning.
Yeah.
The problem is if you have your own business,
Skylar, I love your comment in chat, by the way. You are so right at the young level. These kids are, let me share, because I hear all this. This is really important, and I think it needs solved. I may even have some possible solutions for it. We did a series. This is interesting. We did a series of 30 one-on-ones with the University of Pittsburgh's highest student debt holders. There were tears in every one of the 30 sessions. These were bright kids who now realized they legally owed 6 figures for an undergrad education and hadn't thought of that. And there was a wide array of majors. Many couldn't pay it back because they were going to careers that didn't have salaries to pay that kind of debt. That's why as great as like this, the education is step one, action is step 2, right? And that's really, you are all the leaders. I mean, right now you are I'd be keen enough to say you are our only chance, because it's not happening in enough dinner tables, right? It's not happening in enough workplaces. Politicians change every couple years. Teachers are stable. We can count on you. And you're teaching the most important subject. It doesn't matter what major your students go to in college. It doesn't matter what career they pick. Your subject is one of the few all will use 100% of your district. Jensen, are you able to take the screen share now? Jensen has a plan with a $12,000 deficit. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because I want us to all to help navigate that.
You should be able to. I made her a co-host, but then I saw, Jensen, if you're with us, I saw that your phone tried to join. You might want to try to rejoin with your phone. I think she's trying to show her phone there. Jensen, can you message us or turn on your mic on? There. I don't see her. I saw it come in there really quick, Jean, but then her phone went off again.
Okay,
So I think we should just, yeah, she says, sorry, my phone.
no problem. Does anyone else have one that plan they'd be willing to share and be co-host to help us navigate? I saw another one that came in as a deficit there.
I have a deficit, but I did it very specifically to show my daughter. I didn't follow your rules, so I don't know if you want me to share
That's
it.
okay.
Because my daughter's working at Del Taco with no plan for her future. And so I just kind of wanted to do 2 different plans to show her just to try and get her start thinking about moving along with her life and maybe not being comfortable, because right now she thinks she's rich because she's 17. And so her Del Taco paycheck looks amazing when you go from not making any money to working at Del Taco at $12 an hour, for 30 hours a week. It looks amazing. And it's not so amazing at 42 years from now. And so I kind of that was my goal with this, but I'm welcome. I mean, I can share it if you want me to.
Yeah, let's do that. Kathy, if we can make Kim a co-host, let's look at this plan and I'll show some ways that we can, because this is very common for students, particularly young. And what we want to do is not get them discouraged, right? Find a way to do it. I think we'll be able to do this in 3 steps, but I don't want to overpromise, Kim.
So Kim, I can't see you. What's your full name?
It's Kim Forney. Really?
I'm not seeing you.
You can search for it, Kathy, and it'll pop right
Yeah,
up.
I'm sitting there looking, yeah. There it found up. Okay, there you go. My co-host. Okay, Kim. You're a co-host, Kim.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So slide down. Fast food, Las Vegas, Nevada, 22,000 annual salary. If you'll slide, what's our surplus? How much do we have to cover? Essentials. So we have to come up with $12,562. Let's scroll down.
Okay.
That number that we wanted to get her anchored on is that $1 a day, right?
That's what I did. I did $1 a day.
Keep scrolling down. And let's tap the life hacks. Does she live at home with you?
Right now she does.
So go to housing
Okay.
and you'll be able to live at home with your parents.
Okay.
And does she have a side hustle? Does she do anything else other than the fast food work?
Nope. She sleeps and goes out with her friends and is finishing high school. But that's about it.
She's doing good work. All right, and does she have a food bill or is that kind of on you also right now?
Right now we're covered. Her dad and we have talked about changing it up a little when she turns 18 and starting to charge her a little more if she continues on this path. But we haven't right now because she's still in high school. But when she graduates, we're going to make it a little more difficult for her. But right now we are covering it as if she's a typical teenager.
Tap the food then. Let's just put her in the middle. Let's have her have some ramen noodles and PB&J. She'll learn, right?
Okay.
And do you think that once she turns 18, will she have a side hustle? Would she do something to make $100 a week?
I'm not holding out for that. I mean, I don't know. She surprised us because she shows up for work every day. So we were actually surprised. She's kept her job since December. And so we were actually fairly surprised about her motivation there. So
is she on your health insurance?
She is on my health insurance right now.
Let's tap that too.
Okay.
Let's see what happens when you click the green button. Let's see if
Okay. So she breaks even, right? No, oh no.
That's kind of interesting, right?
A little better.
All right. So
but she can stay on my health insurance forever, and we're not going to let her live rent free forever.
No, but we can get her to a few years, right? Well, remember what we want to do is get her started because she's also not going to stay at 22 forever. It's $1,000 salary. She'll make more. So let's slide up to the top. If this is where she is now.
Okay.
But I would change her from $1 today and up her. Otherwise, it sounds like she might take that $7,000 and go like to Hawaii for a few weeks.
Japan, but yes, you're on the right track.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's just for fun. Let's up her $1 per day and let's make her a millionaire just to get her excited.
Okay.
Just click it a little farther on the right, not on the info button.
All right. Did I do that right?
Anywhere in the white, the millionaire maker one. Yeah.
Millionaire maker. Okay.
Yeah. Choose this profile. Yeah. Let's see what her, so look, I mean.
Her salary stayed the same. Yeah.
That's
And
what
that's-
this really intended to do. And now like, if you scroll the whole way down, she can do really precise like modeling with the events engine and stuff like that. But that, I think what we're trying to do with these students is get them the courage and the confidence to take the first step.
Okay.
What do you think when she sees this?
I mean, I'm hoping,
And Skylar, you're right. She can't be on health insurance till 26.
yeah. And I'm hoping it'll just kind of get her a little more motivated. I mean, I don't want her to, and we've told her it's her life. We can't make those choices for her. But I'm hoping, you know, she right now, like I said, she feels really wealthy because she can, you know, go buy all her vintage clothes that she wants and do all the fun things with all the money because she's still living with us. But she's not even like we were kind of talked about, she's only thinking in the now. And then I have this 13-year-old who has an entire life plan. They're completely different. So like, it's not even parenting or exposure or anything. My 13-year-old has her life mapped out till retirement. So they're completely different kids. But yeah, so I'm hoping seeing it in black and white and kind of seeing the numbers on, you know, even if you stay at Del Taco, if you live your life correctly, you still could be investing for retirement and it's not going to take a lot of money away from your fun, you know, but then showing her like, look, you don't want to live with mom and dad forever. Like,
Kim,
let's add
look
your
at
rent
something
back in. Look what happens when you have to pay your own rent. Look, you know, look what happens when you have to pay your own utilities and your own food and you don't want to survive on ramen noodles for the rest of your life. She likes fine dining, you know.
Kim,
So-
scroll down. There's something I think that we could show her really interesting. So the save first goal, slide up and just a touch. Tap weekly. So
Okay.
my save first goal, she needs to save $24 a week from her job.
Okay.
Scroll back up. And I want you to, let's pretend she ignores you and just change years to goal. And let's say she ignores you just as like a little bit of like a hack for us. Change it to
Okay.
20. And let's see what she has to do. Instead of $24 a week, how much does she have to save if she waits? Ignore the starting age. This is just, she has a 20-year. So scroll down.
Okay.
Instead of 24, she has to save 273 a week to be a millionaire if she
Yeah.
waits.
And that's a huge difference because I'm trying to convince her to open up the Roth IRA now. And she's like, oh yeah, I will, you know, like we will. And it's like, you know, she puts it off. So
Skylar, I see you have a question.
Yeah, it's just that if you're in Las Vegas or Reno, like housing has gone through the roof out here.
Yeah.
mhm.
And rent, even like renting with a bunch of friends and everything, you're still paying like $700 a month or
Yeah.
$800 just for a room. You're not even getting like your whole, like you get a room to your space maybe, but it's through the roof out here. So I'm really trying to help my kids understand like, hey, you're going to move out of your parents' house because you want to one day, or they're getting kicked out, what have you. And it's just like, this is the reality. You have to really figure out what you're going to do.
Well, and she also would rather live in Los Angeles. And I think that's hilarious. Like, she's like, oh no, when I'm 18, I'll move to LA. I'm like, you can't even afford Vegas on Del Taco wages. Like, I don't know where you think you're moving to LA. So yeah, I'm just trying to give her, I would like to give her a little more reality.
That $1,200 a month we have, I just looked at Las Vegas. We've got 1,000 even in, so that we're grabbing our data from the HUD data, HUD. So
Mhm.
it'll let your students model that kind of stuff. And Skylar and Stephanie, if there are other locations that you would like added in Las Vegas, and just let us know, just email me. But that's kind of fun to model that.
I think in Las Vegas, similar to larger metropolitan areas, it depends on zip code.
And
Very
2K
much.
for 1 bedroom in Reno. Yeah, Patty. Well, Kim, that's awesome. Does anyone else have a plan they'd want to navigate as a group, or would it be helpful to dive into kind of like show you a little bit of behind the scenes and what's coming? And Patty, I think you're spot on. I think, let me add one comment here. Remember, we're modeling for your students right now. I will show some of the stuff that we have coming that would be for educators and professionals as well. Your students' first few decisions are really, really important. And it's not, I mean, the decision they make at 18 doesn't define the decision they're going to make at 25, 35, and 45. But there's a fair amount of research that we are creatures of habit. So to the two 37-year-old friends, the one who started his Roth IRA stuck with it. He was a creature of habit. The one that did nothing consistently for 20 years. Chrissy, that's a really good question. I think that two parts on it. I'm not a financial advisor. Depending on the amount of money, a good financial advisor is helpful as you get closer to retirement years. There is, for the first time in a decade, we can make money on high yield savings. So Vanguard's money market fund is yielding almost 5% right now. That's a great place to park that kind of safety money. You know, it's been 0% for so long. It's definitely not too late. You potentially, especially build the plan for the dollar amount you'll need and work to get 100% adequacy. That'd be my advice, and that at least puts the puzzle together. I'm going to really rapid fire in the essence of time to show you all some of the features that your students would have at their fingertips, some now, and then everything I'm showing you this fall. And I'm going to just spend really not much. I'm extremely excited about this. So as I mentioned, like my peers at the University of Pittsburgh, these are our features, like the budgeting tools that students will begin to see, budgeting trends, etc. I know that's a very popular piece. Account measures. Life events is now. This is my favorite thing to do, is to have buy a house and then have 2 kids and watch the red line drop. Because the blue line is the plan that we build. The red line is what happens as you add life events. And I think kids are a little naive to how expensive life is. And I would say that's a good teaching tool. We think we'll have more time and money later in life. But the reality, Kim, your daughter right now has the fewest obligations that she'll have in her entire life, right? Like now is the best time to get started. That, for what it's worth, this is very sophisticated calculations. You can trust them. We have 2 CFA charter holders on our staff, which is the gold standard in the finance industry. This wellness checklist is a really great source for students that are just getting started. You know, maybe they don't have a bank account. If they don't have a bank account, we can't have the investment conversation yet. And it breaks it into four buckets: essentials, retirement, debt, and emergency preparedness. Emergency preparedness is pretty straightforward. Debt, here's one pretty important statement on debt. Federal loans aren't hurting my college students. Private variable rate loans are killing them, and I don't know why it's not getting more press. And my federal student loans, I'm seeing students with like 6.5%. I had students with private variable rate loans at 14% this year. It's unbelievable. Last year it was 9, 10, 11%, but as interest rates rose, those variable rates rose. That's a big deal on the debt. This is everything I'm showing you is in-app. So this is all in-app. Students can get around, play, have some fun, and go through that checklist. Foolproof, which is a global nonprofit. Mike Scheffler's awesome. Attend his session this morning. He is just a warrior, maybe the best literally in the field for financial education. We have their 9 solo models. Myra, I appreciate the face in chat there. Very, very, I could tell tons of stories on that. Foolproof, we have their 9 solo modules, mobile and in-app, for students that are uncomfortable working on desktops. It's a way to reach them on their phones. This is my personal favorite feature. Entrepreneurship isn't Elon Musk, right? He's the face of it at the moment, but it's the student who opens 3 dog grooming businesses. It's the student who opens up their own mechanic shop. A student I met yesterday at the community college who's becoming a welder. And I think we need to do a better job at helping navigate those. So this is a very simple place to store your ideas: what, why, how, where, and when. We've been piloting this at CMU, and students really, really like the experience. Under the tools section, you'll get some really great features. The Finglish library, Sheila had shouted out. The opportunity cost calculators are more valuable, in my opinion. they let a student compare two houses. So go to realtor.com, pick two houses on the same street and see the opportunity cost if you buy the one that costs a little bit less, but buy the same couch, microwave, and everything else. It's a pretty powerful decision. Patty, everything I'm showing is accessible. Yes. I love that, T. If you aren't planning, you're just hoping, right? Having a plan turns wishes into dreams, and dreams can come true. This is on our website now. You can find this under plan. This was built by 3 collegiate financial psychology authors, and it lets your students understand their financial personality type using cognitive and emotional biases. Skylar?
So I have kids that are like, I'm working at Del Taco, or I'm going to go work at a warehouse, things like this. And I'm like, that's great. But I think they should be able to know that they can pivot, because
Yes.
the man that was born in the 50s, that was I think a fluke, because I talked to my grandfather in the 30s. He's like, yeah, I had like a different job every like 3 or 4 years, because I was just chasing the money to make it so we could actually survive. And I was like, okay. So I'm telling the kids, like, it's cool if you pick a job and you love it and you want to stay with it, cool, do that. But if you're like, I'm just trying to get after money, it's like, then you should like work at a job for a year and then map out where's the next higher paying job. If you're not happy with it, obviously, that's the kind of thing.
Absolutely. The most important, and just meet the savings goal, right? Pivot everywhere else in life, just stick to savings. The missing semester books that Sheila talked about, we have 284 quiz questions, chapter discussion as well. So teacher guide, these are in-app under tools. Both books are in there. That's a PDF format, which isn't quite as good as an EPUB, but is nice. This is coming in the fall. So this is not live now. It's a risk profile. This is something that'll be really good for educators, maybe more so than students, but also really fun. I want to show some College Explorer Finglish. This is my single favorite feature. It lets a student start saving $1 a day, but measuring the streak and the habit. And this will also be, so you're seeing a little bit of the behind the scenes right here. We call it Fin Pulse. And as soon as a student starts saving, this starts going like a pulse oximeter. So their plan is living and breathing. And the hope there is that, to Skylar's point, yeah, pivot, just keep your Fin Pulse active, keep the heart beating. Life is going to throw pitfalls. We all know that, right? This debt rank tool is in app now. It's fantastic. It lets you rank your debt and understand that credit cards are painful. And then there's a really nice this is under tools at the moment. If you want your students to compare Vanguard, Fidelity, and Charles Schwab S&P 500 fund, right there, boom. I am going to stop here in the essence of time and just share the last kind of everything we just showed. None of it is paid for clicks. Companies like NerdWallet that I grew up loving, as soon as they sold out to the ads, it becomes a little harder to trust the data when it's going to the highest paid provider, not the most vetted. So everything you are seeing, just know there is no, those aren't ads. They're not being placed by anyone. I appreciate the way we started this conversation. I'm going to, you have my word, I'm going to continue to think on that also. Any final question? I know we're kind of right at our time here. So Kathy, kick me out or on to the next one. Thank you, everyone. And Kim, thank you for volunteering. And